Hey everyone, before the story begins, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel for more deeply emotional stories about family, betrayal, and the kind of revenge that changes lives. For 3 years, my son-in-law told me my daughter was too busy to visit, too busy with work, too busy with her marriage, too busy with life. I believed him, because believing was easier than imagining anything else. I live in a small town near Girona, in northeastern Spain, where the Pyrenees soften into vineyards and olive groves. Time moves slower here. People still greet each other by name. Families still gather on Sundays, or at least they're supposed to. My daughter Clara grew up running barefoot through these streets, her laughter bouncing off stone walls older than memory. After her mother died, it was just the two of us. I worked long hours as a municipal electrician, but every night I cooked dinner, checked her homework, and listened to her dreams. She promised she'd never leave me alone. Then she married Daniel. Daniel was polite, educated, and ambitious. He worked in Barcelona, finance sector, always talking about growth, strategy, efficiency. He convinced Clara to move away temporarily. That temporary distance stretched into months, then years. Whenever I called, Daniel answered. Clara's swamped at work, Joaquin. She sends her love, but deadlines, you know. She'll visit soon, I promise. Sometimes I heard Clara's voice faintly in the background. Sometimes I didn't. I told myself this was modern life, that I was just an old man struggling to accept change. The first winter passed, then another, then a third. My health declined quietly. Arthritis in my hands, breath shorter than it used to be. Still, every Sunday, I cooked enough food for 2, just in case. Then, one morning in early March, my phone rang. A hospital in Barcelona. They asked if I was Joaquin Morales, father of Clara Morales. I remember the way my legs gave out, how I had to sit on the cold kitchen floor while the doctor spoke. Clara had been admitted weeks earlier. Complications. Untreated. Serious. We were unable to reach any immediate family, the doctor said carefully. I drove to Barcelona that same hour, my old car shaking on the motorway, rain streaking across the windshield like tears I refused to shed. The city rose gray and sharp around me, unfamiliar and hostile. In the hospital room, Clara looked smaller than I remembered. Pale, tubes everywhere. Her eyes fluttered open when I entered. "Papa," she whispered. I took her hand. It felt fragile, like glass. She cried then, not loudly, not dramatically, just silent tears sliding into her hair. "He said you didn't want to see me," she murmured. The room tilted. Daniel arrived an hour later. Surprised to see me. Annoyed even. "This is a misunderstanding," he said smoothly, arms crossed. "Clara didn't want to worry you. Clara found her strength then." "That's a lie," she said, voice shaking but firm. "You told me he didn't care, that he'd moved on, that I was a burden." Silence fell between us like a dropped plate. The truth came out in pieces over the next days. Daniel had isolated her slowly, controlled her calls, managed her finances, decided who she could see. When she became ill, he framed it as weakness, inconvenience, something to manage quietly. The doctors confirmed what I already felt in my bones. The delay had made everything worse. Clara survived, but something inside me died. I stayed in Barcelona for weeks, sleeping in a chair by her bed, holding her hand, relearning the shape of her face. Daniel visited less and less. "Work," he said. One afternoon, Clara looked at me and said, "He controls everything, Papa. The apartment, the accounts, even my company shares. I don't know how." I did. I'd seen men like Daniel before, not in suits and glass towers, but in factories and unions and offices, men who believed control was love and silence was consent. This wasn't rage that filled me. It was clarity. Daniel's power rested on paperwork, contracts, signatures Clara trusted him to manage while she was too busy. He hadn't counted on me. Back in Girona, I contacted an old friend, Mateo, retired but sharp as ever, once a labor lawyer who had fought companies twice his size. I brought him documents Clara secretly copied on her phone. Mateo whistled softly. "This is ugly. Shell companies, asset transfers, medical power of attorney quietly signed during one of Clara's weakest weeks." Daniel had been preparing for something, or someone. We moved carefully. Clara recovered slowly, staying with me in Girona. the mountains watching over her like silent guardians. She grew stronger, angry, determined. The legal challenge took months. Daniel fought hard. He always had. But truth is heavier than lies when it finally lands. In court, his calm cracked. Witnesses spoke. Doctors testified. Financial records unfolded like a map of betrayal. The judge's voice was steady when she ruled. Power of attorney revoked. Assets frozen. Divorce proceedings expedited under special circumstances. Daniel looked at me once as they escorted him out. Hatred, fear, something like disbelief. Clara squeezed my hand. Summer returned to Girona. The vineyards bloomed. Life stitched itself back together. Imperfect, but real. One evening, we sat on the terrace, watching the sun bleed into the hills. I thought you forgot me, Clara said softly. I shook my head. I was waiting. She leaned her head on my shoulder, like she used to when she was small. Daniel was sentenced later that year, not for cruelty but for fraud. Funny how the law works. It punishes paper more reliably than pain. I didn't feel triumph. I felt peace. For 3 years, he told me my daughter was too busy to visit. He was wrong. She was being stolen, and I took her back. Some revenge isn't loud. It doesn't end with applause. Sometimes it ends with a quiet dinner, shared again, in a small town that never stopped waiting.